Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, you know who it is, and it is time for our weekly track roundup, where I go over what I felt were the best and worst tracks of the week. Really quickly, let's shout out our sponsors so we can get started. The good people over at SeatGeek. They are an app that aggregates tickets to live events from all over the web to make ticket buying simple. They put a 0 to 100 score on each ticket to let you know if you're getting a good deal or a bad one. Green is good, red is bad. Their in-app view from Seat lets you see where you're going to sit. Enter code DROP to get $20 off your first order. Click the link in the description below to download the app and get more information. SeatGeek, SeatGeek, SeatGeek. And also down there in the description box, of course, as always, are our Amazon and Turntable Lab associate links. You hit up that Turntable Lab link, buy yourself a vinyl copy of a record we've reviewed on the channel, or, I don't know, buy a new record player or some speakers, some audiophile stuff. We get kickback from it, whether you're buying it for yourself or for a friend. It's still summer, but the holiday season, it's coming up fast. And let's just get into it. The worst tracks of the week. The tracks I thought were the worst tracks of the week. Number one, Culture Chesta is back with a brand new single. I'm in the club, open parentheses, looking for some love, close parentheses, featuring Joycey, a singer who I've not heard of before, now just hearing of as a result of this Cal single. Joycey is undoubtedly the best thing about the track. Cal, absolute trash, as usual. Beat sucks. It's a desperate song about how he can't get someone to date him, or he can't get a girlfriend or some bullshit. His rapping sucks. He sings on the song too. It's terrible, it's corny, and it's trash. And you should feel bad for liking it and listening to it, which of course I expect you to do via the link in the description box, where we put all the links to all the songs that we talk about in this segment. Moving on from there, Liam Payne has come through with a new single. Liam Payne, of course, of One Direction fame. New single features French Montana. Title of the track is First Time. It is a really corny, horrific pop and rap blend. Don't ever want to hear it again. Moving on from there, Kyle, featuring Wiz Khalifa. He delivers one of the most atmospheric, hollow, buttery and lotiony pop rap singles I have heard in a while. Absolutely no flavor and personality to this one. It is by the numbers and disgusting. Moving on from there, Converge has seen fit to release this horrendous Cure cover of the song Disintegration, one of the band's best tracks. And the group does a horrific metalcore version of the song. And yeah, I mean, I guess it speaks to the greatness of Converge that this cover is maybe one of the greatest missteps of their entire discography, because truth be told, in the Converge discography, there aren't many bad songs, if any at all. This is a rough cover. I'll say that much. Their attempts at trying to work the song's melody into their typical into their usual metalcore sound, but also trying to bring some more clean vocals in there. It's just a very odd and awkward hodgepodge. Though I guess I admire the attempt. I admire the ambitious attempt. Moving on from there, Save Yourself, new track from the Chainsmokers and Nightmare. I have no idea what the hell the Chainsmokers are doing on this track. Most of the sounds and electronic dance music cliches expressed on this track came and went with the whole dubstep wave. And it's like they're really... Is dubstep so old at this point that we can be nostalgic about it and the Chainsmokers can kind of bring it back in a way? Because if that's the case, I think that really says a lot about the sad state of culture. Let's get into the tracks I thought were meh. Not blowing me away, but not terrible either. Certainly worth mentioning, worth pointing out to you guys, because you might dig them more than me. I wouldn't want you to miss some of these cuts. Moving on from there, Street Sects has a new track out. The post-punk industrial noise duo back, new album on the way. As you guys know, their last full-length record, absolutely loved it. One of my favorite albums of that year, super abrasive and hard-hitting. Their follow-up releases like this EP, some of the loose non-album material they've been dropping since that record has not been quite as harsh and has maybe embraced more elements of post-punk, more clean vocals. I was kind of expecting that to be the case for whatever album they would drop going forward, because it seemed like the band was maturing and evolving a little bit and getting a bit more dynamic. And while this new track did employ elements of underground rock music that I expected it to, I can't say I was all that impressed with how the clean vocals on the cut were executed. It just felt a little underwhelming in my opinion, but still do check it out. And I am open to the song growing on me more as I listen to the entire album, and maybe the whole sound and everything will grow on me. But the title of the track is In For a World of Hurt. Do give it a shot. Do give it a shot. Moving on from there, Logic has a brand new single out titled The Return. Actually, not a bad track. Super tight flows from Logic, flashy lyricism, hard-hitting beat. You know, he does come through with a fun cut every once in a while. You know, I'll say that. Unfortunately, though, Logic, he's just kind of inconsistent, and he does tend to drown in his influences when he is at his worst, and employs a lot of the ideas he grabs from them in a really weak and awful way. However, I don't find that to be the case on this new track over here. It's just a fun, fast, lyrical banger. Moving on from there, a new kind of super indie super trio over here featuring Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, and Julien Baker, basically the Crosby, Stills, and Nash of the indie scene right now, coming together for a collaborative, again, super trio, new material out. We have linked you to one of the songs down there, and it's not a bad singer-songwriter track with what seems like a good amount of collaborative effort from each member in the trio. Bite the Hand is the name of the song. It's a pretty sweet track. Moving on from there, new track from Joey Purp, Bag Talk. I think his attitude, his energy, the instrumental are great, but it's just a little one note. He hits the entire track with this yelling, one-dimensional, very kind of slow-ish and mid-paced flow that I think he really could have switched from at least a few times to make the song more interesting across the whole thing, but still I think it brings an okay vibe. Moving on from there, J Mascis, sounding as J Mascis as ever on a new solo track, new album on the way, See You at the Movies. It's a pretty sweet and somber and melancholy cut in a, again, typical Mascis fashion, that Mascis kind of grungy, fuzzy, Mascis moody, melancholy balladry. Moving on from there, Crippled Black Phoenix. New track out. Thought some of the vocal parts on this track, of which there are a few, came off a little kooky on this song. However, maybe with repeated listens, it will really grow on me, but still, that is my biggest critique of the track. Outside of that, the instrumental is actually incredible. This is a long, expansive, heavy, and fantastically composed experimental rock track with a lot of power, a lot of oomph. Maybe you'll dig the vocals more than me. I definitely implore to you, do not miss out on this track if you're looking for something electrifying in the experimental rock genre. Moving on from there, Koosha has a new track out titled Return Zero. It is a splashy, glitchy, plinky, kind of colorful piece of IDM that I wish was a bit more interesting structurally, but still on an aesthetic level, it was very pretty and very gratifying to listen to. And the good guys over at Armand Hammer have a new track out, Billy Woods and Elucid. The title of the song over here is Rehearse with Ornette. And yeah, it's a pretty grimy, underground hip-hop banger with lots of esoteric and cryptic lyrics, as you would expect from those guys who I've covered on the channel at least a few times before. New record on the way. Look for it on Bandcamp. Look for it via Backwoods Studios. Next, let's get into the best tracks of the week, starting off with we have a new collaborative track from ZillaKami and SosMula. Hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. They have a new 3-track collaborative EP out. It's okay. It's pretty hard hitting. It's kind of like trap rap's answer to nu metal, and this track TrainSpotting that I have pointed you guys to is easily one of the grimiest, deadliest, and most hard hitting on the EP. If you like this track, you'll most likely love the rest of the EP, as it's all pretty high octane and explosive. Moving on from there, Haru, the Japanese singer, songwriter, rapper, guitarist who I shouted out earlier this year with a very positive review. Even she has new music out. The title of this new cut, I believe, is Kick in the World, and it is just as speedy and passionate and well-structured and intense as many of the tracks off her new album. So if you dig on that shit, you'll most likely love this new track over here as well. Moving on from there, YBN Cordae, Scottie Pippen, new braggadocious, lyrical, smart, and hard-hitting trap banger. Really digging that, in a pretty well-shot music video to boot that you should not miss out on. Very fun. Moving on from there, the Skiffle Players, a band that has been around for a little bit and is connected to the usually wonderful Cass McCombs, have a new enchanting and a pretty charming new track out titled Local Boy, which has a very nice, I don't know, backwood instrumental feel to it, with a lot of character, kind of tongue-in-cheek and silly. But they kind of do this quaint folk style a lot of justice, which is why I'm putting this track on. It's very enjoyable. It's very sweet. Moving on from there, Reboot is the title of this new track over here, featuring Chance the Rapper, Joey Purp, Kami, and Smoko Ono. It is a pretty nice and cutting-edge, well-produced piece of pop rap with some creative lyrical and vocal input from all parties involved. Moving on from there, Joy is the forthcoming record from the UK post-punk and art punk band Idols, who I have mentioned on the channel numerous times before. New track over here titled Great seems to be a pointed critique of all of the anti-immigration sentiments bubbling up in the UK currently. It's a pretty well put together track, catchy, and good solid message, I guess, as well. Moving on from there, Hissing is the name of the band here, with a new record on the way via Prosthetic Records. I hope I'm not fucking that up, but I believe it's Prosthetic Records that this is coming out from. Let me just double check on that, as I want you guys to know. No, it's not Prosthetic. I'm an idiot. It's Profound Lore. So scratch that. Profound Lore Records. Anthony's stupid, but it's Profound Lore. And this is a pretty black and experimental and somewhat abrasive piece of death metal over here, with some interesting twists and turns, a good, heavy, brutal, cavernous production, a lot of layers to this thing. So, if you like your death metal to sort of stray away from the typical meat and potatoes sound without getting too technical and wanky and shit, I believe you'll end up digging what the band is offering over here. Moving on from there, Empress of has a new track out, a brand new single, which is pretty sweet. The title of the track is When I'm With Him, and it is a nice piece of pretty synth-heavy, very modern contemporary pop, but it has a nice, quirky, left-field edge to it that I think is pretty cool. Moving on from there, DÖDSRIT is the name of this black metal project, which I am just now, this European black metal project, which I am just now becoming aware of. Aura is the name of this new track, and this is a wonderfully animalistic, powerful, visceral piece of black metal with some amazing passages and structural, I guess, details, because it's a pretty lengthy track, and the band really takes the listener on a ride with this epic cut over here. And it's not too atmospheric or washed out or anything like that. I would say a great deal of the grandiosity of this song has more to do with the playing and the compositional elements of the track, more than it simply can be laid at the feet of, oh, well, they threw a lot of reverb on it. You know what I mean? While that can sound nice, the band plays really well. The playing on this record is very nice. And by record, I mean this song that I'm pointing you to. Again, Aura is the name of the track. Don't miss out on this one. Definitely one of the better metal tracks that I've heard this month. Next, the good dudes over at Disclosure dropped 4 different tracks across the past 7 days, the titles of which are Where You Came From, the extended mix, Love Can Be So Hard, Where Angels Fear to Tread, and Moonlight. Most of them seem like pretty respectable, dancey, driving, rhythmic, and visceral flips of a variety of different things, whether it be like some disco stuff or some 80s synth pop stuff, or whether it be like some old like doo-wop style vocal shit. It's all very well put together and sharp dance music, very tasteful too, and well produced. Wanted to shout these tracks out as I think the duo has done very well with all of them, and I'm hoping that this is really kind of a forecast for what is to come on this new Disclosure record, as I did think their last full-length album felt like an attempt at kind of selling their sound short for some short-term commercial success. Moving on from there, digging on this new Atmosphere track 2. Want to give a shout out to Atmosphere, as this has been the first cut of his I've enjoyed in a while. The title of the song is Virgo, and it's a pretty personal and introspective track where he seems to be reflecting on aging, dying, the music career that sort of brought him to this point of being a vet in the hip-hop underground. And it's just a passionate, well-written song with a tasteful instrumental, which did put me off at first because I typically am a little wary of the whole acoustic guitar melodrama intro sort of thing. But his passion and his lyrical wit did end up winning me over as the song drew on. And frankly, maybe I'm looking forward to this new Atmosphere record more than I have been an Atmosphere album in a long time. And I'm going to leave it at that, guys. That has been the weekly track roundup. Shout out once more to the good people over at SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode and a lot of other episodes of the weekly track roundup. You can find their stuff down there in the description box, and our Amazon and Turntable Lab links down there as well. Hope you got some good recommendations out of this video. I'll see you guys in the next review. Anthony Fantano, weekly track roundup forever.